Garnt, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry. But also, you're welcome.
You kids come and trying to take my scene. Let's change this place, this community.
In 2017, the AniTuber community took part in a challenge where they would rap a verse about anime and otaku-related topics and then challenge others in the community to partake. I won't go too in-depth about it since I didn't actually know about it until I saw Joey the Anime Man post the 2020 video. Given the level of genuine skill and lyricism demonstrated in 2020, I honestly couldn't have been more shocked by what had come before it, because no one could have been prepared for the pure fire of the UK's GIGG. Now, unlike the analysis I did for Abroad in Japan's Too Much Volcano, there isn't much to say about the backing track this time because it's just a basic beat, though this makes sense given that this is about as complex as a beat should be in your standard rap battle or cypher. And you're probably looking at this rhythmic transcription and thinking, Gigguk's lyrics aren't really abstract. How could you possibly pull any hidden meaning from this? So I wrote out the approximate microtonal inflections of his delivery to help aid with that too. Looking at the first two lines, Garnt starts us off with some simple rhythms, but teases a bit of swing with the words "this community." Without saying much at all, he has already made sure we're fully aware of his complete rhythmic control, switching seamlessly between duplet and triplet beat groupings. He also utilizes lyrical assonance to its finest degree, most obviously by rhyming scene with the end of community, but also more subtly internalizing the assonant rhyme scheme on kids, it's, this, the second syllable of comin, and the third syllable of community.
You kids come and trying to take my scene. Let's change this place, this community.
This short I sound is also carried over into the line "think they're lit," acting as a buffer that lyrically transitions us into the next set of rhymes without feeling like it's changed out of nowhere. Given the content of what Garnt is trying to express, his frustrations at how the AniTube community had softened during his period of absence, we can hear influences from the harder East Coast hip-hop scene, acting in opposition to the generally more chill vibes of the West Coast. Looking at the contours of the opening line, it's quite obvious that Garnt is channeling the sing-song style of the Sugar Hill Gang's iconic Rapper's Delight, though this lasts only a short while, as if he is giving us a brief history lesson on the evolution of East Coast hip-hop through his delivery alone. Skipping past the direct diss about the punk-ass weebs being plebes, the next set of rhymes changes it up for a classic ing rhyme scheme, building on the simple short I sound. This makes the transition not only feel smooth, but gives us a whole new set of vocabulary for Garnt to draw from his vernacular. And while most beginner rappers would be tempted to simply utilize rhyming words only at the ends of their phrases, Garnt fearlessly and unabashedly throws as many of these rhyming words onto any beat he can. King coming in on beat 1, the second part of running on the first syncopation of beat 2, bling realigning us on beat 4, the third part of reviewing on the final syncopation of that same beat 4, and thing finally landing on beat 3 of the next bar.
That was King, running that old school bling, reviewing anime was the thing.
This gets followed up with a cheeky limerick like AABBA form to rhyme scene with the end of catastrophe, and then returns for swing on beat 3.
Reviewing anime was the thing. Then I left the scene, it was a catastrophe as everything started to swing.
It might seem a bit silly to utilize a limerick form, but if we take a broader look, we can see that Garnt has still only utilized two main rhyming sounds, the short I and the long E, with only a slight deviation to a short A for past and na in these lines here, keeping a consistency throughout his verse that most would be afraid of quickly growing stale. Musically, Garnt also plays with our subconscious with the delivery of the line "as everything started to swing." Prior to this, the melodic contours of his voice weren't moving much at all, microtonally rising for a feeling of building tension when he left the scene before musically swinging down, back up, and falling again right at the end, melodically representing the destructive downfall, or swing, of the empire he had helped to build up.
Reviewing anime was the thing. Then I left the scene, it was a catastrophe as everything started to swing.
While few may know about this rarely mentioned tidbit of knowledge, Garnt actually left YouTube for a while to work at the BBC.
I got a job as a technical project manager working with a company that was subcontracted to the BBC.
If you've ever had like an office job, which I did for the BBC, I'm gonna quit the BBC.
Leaving behind his legacy of the anime zone to stand as a beacon for other up-and-coming AniTubers, a beacon he feels was tarnished by top 10 lists and analysis videos. Hey, wait a second. The next few lines once again make a slight change to the short I sound, transitioning from ing words to is rhymes. Once again adopting the Limerick form, the B rhyme with the long E is used for weaves, seen, and the first syllable of lyrical. A masterful word choice that utilizes both of the main assonant sounds with the long E and short I, but also the slight deviation earlier with the short A.
It's analytical this, another typical list. Have these weaves never seen a proper lyrical diss?
But these lines aren't what we should really be taking note of, as Garnt's true command over word timbres and lexical inflection comes to the forefront for a few lines that, at first glance, you could mistakenly think he's made poor rhymes with. Looking at and hearing, "This ain't no place for kids," "Think Rem is best girl," "Get arrested by pigs," it isn't immediately obvious what kinds of gears are turning in Garnt's head, as none of these rhymes go too well with the is sounds nor each other. It's here where Garnt has turned to yet another New York hip-hop legend, Rakim, who writes in his autobiography, Sweat the Technique,
I wrote I Ain't No Joke with lots of eternal rhymes. I made the third and the fourth lines mirror each other, giving you a pair of eternal rhymes, and then rhyming words at the ends of the lines. A couple of lines later, I rhymed in between the lines with, I'm just an addict, addicted to music. Maybe it's a habit, I gotta use it. I love building rhymes out of words that don't really rhyme.
Of course, we can't expect first-time rapper Garnt to be on the same level as Rakim, a man known throughout the industry as the God MC, but taking a page from his book, Garnt has instinctively made use of these godly techniques. The word this transitions us from the is rhymes, cueing us up for the assonants ain't and place, and ending with a non-rhyme kids. Think flips kids backwards by utilizing the same short I, but ending on the consonant K that kids starts with, proceeding into another new set of assonants, rem and best, where best has an internal rhyme with arrested on the following line, while continuing the lyrical assonance of the short E sound for the first half of the line.
Are they taking the piss? This ain't a place for kids. Think Rem is best girl, get arrested by pigs.
Moving on to the next lines, Garnt adopts a more modern rap style that drags syncopations ever so slightly behind the beat, taking a mocking tone towards the anti-tubers he feels are beneath him. Here he continues off of the new assonant short E sound and makes an altered combination with the is rhymes he had been doing before to form ence rhymes, heard for offense, sense, and reference.
Get arrested by pigs. Now don't take offense, you just make no sense like a wannabe JoJo's reference.
Following reference, there's a very slight stall, and an amateur listener might think that Garnt has simply run out of breath as he rushes back in, but in fact he is actually manipulating the flow of the rhythm to gear us up for yet another change in rap style, something he also did much more subtly a few lines earlier with Get Arrested by Pigs.
Get arrested by pigs. Now don't take offense, you just make no sense like a wannabe JoJo's reference. You think you're all fancy being on Annie too.
Very few rappers have the confidence to make use of a 64th beat hemi-demi semi-quaver, but Garnt skillfully weaves in a very slight rest to leave us anticipating his entrance before blasting us into a set of Chicago hardstyle triplet runs. Unlike the hard-hitting New York style, Chicago's uses the intensity of the lyrics and vocalization in conjunction with a slightly more laid-back vibe, and beat groupings of 3 and 6 are quite common, the swing-like quality of multiples of 3 aiding the relaxed rhythms.
FaceTime me new to the year, all of this new to me, yeah. All of the infidelity when I was 17, been catching up.
This new section has Garnt utilizing no less than 3 sets of different rhymes across the 3 lines he's spitting. The least noteworthy is being and seeing, with the word playing acting as a partial rhyme with these 2 words. The most obvious would be the long U sound for Anitube, Fool, and a double whammy in Umaru, and my personal favorite of Fancy, Prancer, and Cancer, which occur on the least utilized second beat of each line.
You think you're all fancy being on Annie tube, not seeing a prancer who's playing the fool, filled with more cancer than Umaru?
If we look at this section more musically, you can see how the individual phrases are made up of wave-like falling motions, but they actually move up microtonally from G3 quarter sharp to C3 quarter sharp, a perfect fourth, to build on the intensity of Garnt's delivery, a technique that could very easily intimidate any of his opponents. The next section sees Garnt returning to his beloved long E rhymes as he cycles through various different rhythmic patterns and rap styles.
Can you see? This ain't no place to be. You're a cacophony of monotony with less quality than Berserk CG. Shit taste as far as the eye can see. Bitch, please, you ain't got nothing on me.
I haven't said much about his decision to utilize short I and long E rhymes, but one might speculate that this is a hidden reference to his now fiancée Sydney, her name obviously containing these 2 syllables, or a direct response to Nino, whose actual name is Jimmy, being one of the people who challenged Garnt. This fixation on these 2 vocables is both a subtle Easter egg for those in the know, as well as an interesting personal challenge, much like how Blackalicious made the alphabet aerobics challenge, and Gaggle and Oval made the Japanese equivalent Moda. Once again referencing Rakim's book, even the god MC himself states that,
My tendency is to pick some complicated challenges of a track. I used to call it putting myself in a hole. Damn, Ra, you could have made an easy song, but instead, you got this crazy rhyme pattern. You trying to do a whole 16 bars rhyming with that one word, and on and on.
Whether Garnt was aware he was following in the footsteps of one of hip-hop's finest, his protagonist abilities really shine through in his sense of rhythm and lexicon.
Why we stick with a capital C, more ripped than the boys from Free, that's why they call me G. Getting growth like you never seen. It's that motherfucking T.
As we move into the final section, Garnt begins calling out the other Anitubers who initially challenged him: Jimmy, Nino, Jeff, Mother's Basement, and Joey the Anime Man. This is one of the most interesting rhythmic sections, as Garnt again uses triplets but pairs them with simple long quarter beats, making phrases that are only 3 beats long to offset the sense of where the strong beat is. This first starts with a simple 4-beat phrase, Jimmy, I'm bringing it back now, followed with a 3-beat phrase, Jeff, I'm bringing it back. Where most beginners would continue the pattern of saying back now, Garnt instead swaps out now with the first part of the next phrase, Joey, I'm bringing it back, cutting this line's back even shorter to give proper emphasis placement for rewinding, a skill even experienced songwriters flub from time to time.
Jimmy, I'm bringing it back now. Jeff, I'm bringing it back. Joey, I'm bringing it back. Rewinding before all this crap now.
All jokes aside, in the final few lines, Garnt actually has one really skillful internal non-rhyme, faces and tastes are, something that would make his unintentional mentor Rakim proud.
Against all these faces thinking their tastes are bold and brash. Ha!
This is followed with the ending word brash, aligning assonances with back and crap from before so that he can lead us out with they belong in the trash, acting primarily as a diss against the current Anitube community while also being an unintentional foreshadowing of an idea that wouldn't even be conceived until about 3 years later. Not to mention that that idea would prove to the community one simple reason why he has the right to stand above them all. And just as that line foreshadowed the present situation, the final line, something made to last nah, also effectively foreshadowed the current state of Anitube, where reviews, lists, and general analyses have declined in popularity, proving that even in 2017, Garnt had an eye on the trends and successfully delivered us a vision of the future through his advanced rhythmic lyricism and wordplay. I haven't listened to any of the other raps from 2017, but I think it's fair to say that I don't need to because it's abundantly clear that Gigguk's far outshone everyone else's. Maybe someday, if we're lucky, our boy will step up to the plate and bring us the fire once again, but until then, all we can do is bide our time. I really didn't think that this was going to take much longer to make than the Too Much Volcano analysis did, but once I started writing out the microtones and really getting into the linguistic stuff, there was just a huge amount to unpack. Like, I even ended up rereading all of Rakim's book just for a stupid over-analysis, and you can see that I even have a few sticky tabs here just so I could make those points. And at this point, I've actually listened to the raps so many times that I've kind of brainwashed myself into thinking that it's genuinely good, which it is. Anyway, since I know people are going to ask, the transcription will be available over on my Patreon along with all the other transcriptions I've done for all my other analysis videos, so make sure to support me over there if you want access to those. And as always, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and let's see if we can get Gigguk to notice this. I mean, if this one also gets as much attention as the Abroad in Japan analysis did, then I guess I'll just have to do something that Connor's Seadog VA has done too. But for now, thanks as always for watching, and I will see you in the next one.